Do you ever find yourself self-sabotaging yourself and you do things, you work hard, all of a sudden all comes to failure? This is going to be a two-part video series. The first part is going to be the 5 ways you self-sabotage yourself. 5 ways you self-sabotage yourself. This is part 1 in a 2-part video series. And I'm bringing this up because so many people sabotage their own life, they sabotage their relationships, and they sabotage their jobs, and they don't even realize they're doing it. So I want to bring awareness of this behavioral pattern because it has its roots in a lot of psychological problems here. But I'm not going to get into those. I'm just going to get into the behavioral pattern of self-sabotaging. Because when you sabotage yourself, it can be so disappointing and it can be depressing because you don't know what's happening, why it's happening, and why you find yourself in the boat that you're in. Because if you're in a worse situation after working many years, either on a relationship or a job or career, and you're in a worse place, then most likely you have some self-sabotaging behavior that is going on unconscious. So I want to make it more conscious to you so you can become aware of it and therefore feel empowered to do something about it. Now, the first part is going to be the 5 ways you self-sabotage. The second video is going to be 5 ways you can overcome self-sabotaging behavior. So let me talk about the 5 ways you self-sabotage. Number 1 is going to be negative self-talk, criticizing yourself. These are limiting beliefs. When you tell yourself you can't do it, I'm not good enough, or it's too hard. Those are the most common ones, and there's other limiting beliefs. But basically, you cause yourself to quit before you even start. And that can't be good for your life. When you have this negative self-talk, it's so disempowering, yet at the same time very powerful. You see how powerful your thoughts are. They could be used for better or for worse. In this case, it's for worse. Criticizing yourself, criticizing other people in your mind, reducing them down to nothing just so you feel better about yourself, that's going to sabotage your behavior, your personality. The second one is going to be procrastination and avoidance. When you constantly procrastinate, you put things off, you hesitate, you avoid, then nothing will ever even begin. Nothing will ever even get started. And procrastination is something that a lot of people do due to the uncomfortableness of a situation, or because you believe you're not good enough, and it goes back to the negative self-talk. When you hesitate for too long, then the opportunity passes you by. And that's how you self-sabotage. Now, the third part is going to be a fear of failure and success. Because a lot of people won't even try something because they're actually afraid of succeeding at it. Because with success comes responsibility. And it also changes their self-image. If you have a victim mindset or a poverty mindset, success is the exact opposite of being a victim or living in abundance. And you may have a hard time seeing yourself in that situation. And it creates a fear because you don't know who to be or how to conduct yourself. Fear of failure. Fear of looking bad is really what it comes down to. You don't want to look bad in front of other people, to your parents, to your friends. You don't want to have a bad reputation. You want to be laughed at. Fear of failure. Failure over and over and over again can be so damaging to one's self-worth and self-esteem that it causes one to quit and just give up on everything. But you don't know if you're going to succeed if you don't even try. So it's kind of twofold. There's a fear of failure and a fear of success. And both of those will create basically inaction. You know, if you don't take action, you're not going to win. The fourth one is imposter syndrome. And this is extreme self-doubt. Now, if you're, extreme insecurity, if you will, I mean, we all have insecurities. We're all insecure to a certain degree. We can't know everything all of the time. There's a lot of aspects of life that are unknown. We can't know what's going to happen next every single moment in time. And really, that makes life an adventure. It makes life exciting. But if it overwhelms you, it can become paralyzing. And again, it goes back to that negative self-talk where you start to tell yourself, wow, I'm not good enough. I just can't do it. No, I'm not ready. Or I don't know what I'm doing. But the thing is you can figure out as you go along. But that imposter, that insecurity, and that self-doubt becomes so gripping that you give up. All of these self-sabotaging behaviors make you give up. They make you quit. Or they turn people against you, and you want that to evade responsibility. Now, the fifth one is disregarding self-care and well-being. If you don't take care of yourself and you let yourself go, sometimes appearances are everything. Your breath smells, you have body odor, you're wearing raggedy clothes. You're not going to make a good impression on people. Also, it's going to affect your mental mood. If you're not having good hygiene, if your room is messy, things of that nature, you're not going to feel good about yourself, and you're not going to think clearly. You're not going to be confident. It's going to destroy your confidence. And self-care is really important because if you don't take care of your mind, you don't take care of your attitude, you're not growing in maturity. Well, as you get older, people will look at you as being immature. And when people look at you as immature, they don't respect you. If they don't respect you, they don't want to work with you. And that's how it sabotages your career. Now, that was only 6 minutes, so I'm going to blend these two videos into one video here. I think I have enough time. And I'm going to delve right into how to overcome self-sabotage, 5 steps to overcoming self-sabotaging behavior. This is the second part. Because I think you need to hear this. If we only focus on the problem and never the solution, well, we don't really have the answer that we want. We have better understanding, but we don't really have a deepened understanding. We need that deepened understanding to progress and move forward in our life. So the first step is you need to acknowledge and identify the patterns. You need to become conscious of your self-sabotaging behavior. If you're not aware of it, it's just going to continue to go on. And some people may point it out to you, and if you take things personally, then you're never going to listen to them. So become aware of the patterns and behaviors that you're exhibiting and doing and the actions that you're taking. And ask yourself, is this producing the results that you want? Is this creating agreement? Or is your negotiating ability creating wins? Is your behavior creating respect amongst your peers? If it's not, then you're behaving or doing something in a manner of which is not in agreement with others, is not in accordance with your highest good or your best interest. So becoming aware of it is the first step. And that usually results in some type of failure, some type of either getting fired from a job, a breakup in a relationship, or you're getting passed up for your promotions. That's usually when you become aware of, well, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? And that's when you start to become aware. But the problem is you don't want to condemn and judge yourself. It's just a matter of, well, what am I doing ineffectively? What's ineffective in my life? That neutralizes the perspective on yourself, so you're not judging yourself. You're looking at it from a pragmatic, practical point of view of just looking at the efficacy of your behavior, your speech, and your actions. If it's not effective in producing the results that you want, chances are you have ineffective behavior, ineffective speaking, ineffective habits. And that's usually the self-sabotaging behavior. The second step is going to be challenge those limiting beliefs, because whenever you have this behavior problem, or if you believe you're not good enough, if you believe you can't do it, if you believe it's too hard, you're going to talk yourself out of doing anything and trying anything. Especially that one, the most popular one, is I'm not good enough. That everybody thinks that at some moment in their life. And for others, that belief just continues and becomes so paralyzing that you see later on in life, they don't advance in their career, they don't try anything, they don't challenge themselves. If you're not challenging yourself, it's because you think you're not good enough, which means at some level you believe you can't learn. Because maybe It's not a matter of being good enough as a person, but it's a matter of being skilled enough. And you've got to learn new skills anytime you want to level up your game and move up in your career, or even go from girlfriend and boyfriend to married to, making the proposal. You want to deepen intimacy in your relationship. It means you got to level up. I mean, think about, if you propose, that means you're committing. You're saying, I'm not going to see anybody else cross my heart. You know what I mean? Which means your accountability is at a higher degree. It means you have to be your word. You can't lie. Not that you're hopefully not lying before, but those little white lies, those deflection speaking, when you deflect things and avoid responsibility, that comes to an end. You've got to own up to everything in marriage, and so too in your job. Because if you want to go into the executive level, into director level, into project level, into department head level, your accountability has to level up. And if you're not willing to accept more responsibility, then good luck to you. You're not going to move up in any direction in life. So those beliefs of saying, I can't do it, can turn into, I can learn as I go. I can learn as I go. I might not be skilled enough now, but I will be in a month or in 6 months, because I am going to learn as I go. And give yourself a deadline, give yourself a goal to improve your skills so you actually work towards them. It'll motivate you to work towards improving your skills so you can develop competency and develop confidence. If you're not confident, it's because you have this negative self-talk about yourself. I'm not good looking enough. I'm not skilled enough. I'm not a good speaker. I'm not articulate enough. I don't know. There's always some degree of I'm not enough. And it's not a matter of you being a bad person. It's a matter of your skills not being developed, and work on your skills. The third step is to develop self-compassion. Nobody was born perfect. Not everybody has to hold their eggs in their basket, if you will. And we're all imperfect. We're only human beings. We all make mistakes. Accept that. Be compassionate towards yourself. You got to love yourself, because if you're hard on yourself and you're critical of yourself, you're always going to be down on yourself. You're always going to feel down about yourself, and you're going to walk around with your head down. And when you do that, nobody really wants to have anything to do with you. So have that sense of self-compassion. Treat yourself with kindness. It's shown that when you reward yourself, you actually do better in life, in whatever action you take, especially at work. There was an experiment done, and I don't know the exact names, but candy was given to a group of people who they had them go jogging every day. And another group of people, they just jogged with no candy. At the end of the jog, this group of people got a piece of candy, and the other group got no candy. And what they found was the people who got candy showed up and jogged more than the people who didn't get anything. And they had a more positive outlook on the jogging experience than the people who didn't get any candy. And then fast forward a year later, when the experiment was done, they caught up with these participants and they asked who's still jogging. And they found all the people who didn't get candy stopped jogging. And a majority of people who got candy during the experiment continued to jog. That's how powerful the reward center is. If you don't reward yourself for working hard, for accomplishing anything, it's almost like, well, why bother doing it? There's a sense of why bother? Why do it in the first place? I put all that work into something for nothing. You always want to have a sense of reward. It's the dopamine pathway. It creates a higher sense of gratuity. You appreciate all of the hard work and labor that was put into it. And that's how you can love yourself. Whenever you accomplish anything, pat yourself on the back. It doesn't mean put your chin up and think you're better than other people. It just means, take yourself out for dinner. Go get a manicure. Go get a massage. Take a day off on the weekend as a reward. Make it so it's a direct reward for accomplishing or finishing anything. Love yourself. Give yourself a break as well. If you're working long hours, you got to take a break. You can't just, muscle through everything. have compassion for yourself. Be kind to yourself. Because if you're not kind to yourself, you're not going to be kind to other people. Now, that also means, when you love yourself, you're going to be mindful of your thoughts and your feelings. So pay attention to the self-critic. Remember, if you keep telling yourself negative self-talk, you're going to convince yourself of it. It's not a matter of you not being good enough as a person. It's just a matter of, maybe I don't have all the skills. You got to be honest with yourself. Acquire new skills. Just tell yourself you can learn. The human mind is a very powerful tool, and you'd be surprised how much you can learn when given the opportunity and having the right motivation. You can learn anything you apply your mind to. Where there is a will, there is a way. Number 4, set clear goals and create an action plan to attain those goals. If you don't have a set deadline, the ambiguity of when to do something to work towards your goal sets in, and you may wake up saying, you begin to procrastinate, one of the, self-sabotaging behaviors. And when you procrastinate, the work never gets done. It never even starts. When you give yourself a deadline, it gives you an outlook where you can actually have something that's measurable and quantifiable. You can actually measure the amount of work you do to see how much you're getting done to work towards your goal. If you're not getting enough done in a certain day, daily task, then you need to make up for it in the next day, because you don't want to work on the weekends. The 5-day work week is to make sure Monday's work gets done by Friday, and you have all week to do it. If you don't get it done by Thursday, well, your Friday is not going to be, hey, thank God it's Friday day. It's going to be, goddamn, I got to work later on Friday so I don't have to work on Saturday. Hey, some weeks are like that. It's just the nature of life. Not everything's going to be perfect the way you want it to work out. So set clear goals. Create an action plan. If you don't have a clear path of how to attain that goal, well, you're going to be bushwhacking it. I remember one day I was snowboarding over at, I believe this was one of the places up in Lake Tahoe. And I like doing tree runs. And I went off in trees because there's more powder in there. And I didn't know where this grove of trees took me. I rode myself to the edge of basically a 500-foot cliff. And I had to hike backwards because I had no real clear plan. I just wanted to bushwhack it. Have a clear plan. When you have a clear plan, you can measure every step you're taking and keep track of your progress. Without that clear plan, you won't have any direction. And then that's how you sabotage yourself. Now, number 5, seek support and have accountability. In other words, if you need help in something, ask for it. You can't blame anybody else. Blaming is a huge self-sabotaging behavior. Having accountability, meaning I need someone to hold me accountable. I used to run accountability groups, and this motivated me to get things done simply because now I'm obligated to somebody else because I told them I would do something, and they're going to hold me to it. When you have that kind of support, when you have an accountability group, it accelerates your work. It accelerates your progress. If you have nobody to hold you accountable but yourself, well, you give yourself slaps on the wrist and you say, hey, no problem. I'm tired. It's okay. You start making excuses, and that is a huge self-sabotaging behavior. So these are the 5 steps to overcoming self-sabotaging behavior and 5 self-sabotaging behavioral problems. If you become aware of how you're basically ruining your own life, then you can become aware of how to succeed in your life. You can avoid, there's a saying, knowing what to do, but it's even better to know what not to do. And knowing your self-sabotaging behavior can enable you and empower you to recognize it so you discontinue behaving in that way and put forth the solution, which are ways to overcoming self-sabotaging behavior, which is really boils down to accountability. Taking responsibility for yourself. Responsibility means your ability to respond. And as long as you keep taking actions that produces results, you give yourself time to learn. In other words, you allow yourself to make mistakes because you can learn as you go, and you continue to progressively learn, you will achieve your goal. When you have a clear action plan, you know who to ask for help, and also you hold yourself accountable by taking action. So that's how you overcome self-sabotaging behavior. And this is what I help my clients with. A lot of my clients feel stuck in their life, and it's a blind spot. They don't know what's going on, what's happening, and it often takes a third-person perspective to point it out, to create awareness so you can have the choice now. Because if you don't have a choice, you feel like your life is running you and you're not running your life. And if you want to get ahead in your career, experience more freedom, more abundance, and more fulfillment in your life, I can help you do that. My contact information will be below this video. Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe. This is Dr. Spencer Coaches. I sure hope that helps. Thank you so much for listening.